Welcome back to the Daily Rundown with me, Dan Morfitt, and my guests, Mike Milling and Ayesa Toure. Our next story now is about a new report that has shown investment in renewable energy was higher in the world's poorest countries than the richest ones for the first time last year. A total of about £196.5 billion was spent on renewable power and fuels globally in what was a record year of investment in the sector. But more than half of that came from developing countries such as China, India and Brazil. Friends of the Earth said it was shameful that the UK was being outspent by much poorer countries and attacked the government for failing to create the right environment for investors in renewables. So is green good, but greed better? Ayesa, what do you think about this?
Greed, yeah, well, greed is not good. Green is better. Green is definitely better.
It's embarrassing, isn't it?
When all these it's not good.
Emerging nations, and somewhere like Brazil, I know they've had a World Cup, they've got the Olympics, but they're still basically third, second world. They're spending more money on renewable energy than we are.
How is it the case? What?
I think because they may be so almost behind everybody else,
right,
that just to catch up they're spending lots of money on it. But it still doesn't reflect well on the UK in particular, because lots of government subsidies, that governments of all colours and persuasions brought in over the last 20 years have all been taken away. There's no incentive now really to get solar heating, solar panels on your house. They've changed the law on where they want wind farms to be on land, thankfully not in the sea. Money being directed into wave power is not really as big as it should be, considering that we're an island that would be able to generate all of its power. It's a bit galling when you see all these other nations investing so much more.
Why are we so behind? What's wrong with us?
It's one of those things. I think with first the Kyoto Agreement and then the recent Paris Agreement, we've still got this idea of maybe offsetting our carbon footprint, which was a very en vogue term a few years ago, by buying other people's and just going, well, we'll buy theirs. And China at the moment is the world's biggest polluter because it's slowly becoming the most advanced nation in the world. However, at the same time, they're going hand in hand by going, well, energy is not going to last forever. Fossil fuels are running out, and they're investing massive amounts in solar power and wind power. Surely we should be at the forefront of that rather than behind other much poorer nations.
Yeah. So how do we make this? I mean, not that you're suddenly this expert.
I feel as if I'm now the Department of Energy.
He knows most about it.
Because I remember when solar paneling, like roofs and stuff, was this big thing, and then you'd see loads of houses, and more of them had this solar paneling. Didn't the solar panel factory burn itself to the ground or something the other day?
Is that a really bad gag gone right?
No, I'm sure that actually happened.
Well, someone was using a solar panel to burn an ant.
I don't know. Something happened, and a solar panel factory maybe blew up. Anyway, it's beside the point. So I don't know. I mean, I know very little about renewable energy or how we,
how much money is spent on it.
On that then, could it be just the fact that we have such an established infrastructure of energy? We've got the coal and the gas-fired power stations. We've got nuclear in this country. A lot of power now coming onto the grid is from offshore wind and on land wind. That's our infrastructure. It's quite old, it's quite creaky, but it works. So these developing nations possibly don't have that infrastructure. So maybe that difference in expenditures, because they are playing catch up and they don't have to wreck existing infrastructure to build brand new spanking stuff and almost be ahead of the curve on technology.
Right.
I could draw a diagram. I could draw a diagram right now of this is the sun, this is corn, but it's I remember being taught at school about Brazil and how most of their cars were run on alcohol, on ethanol, because they distilled sugarcane down, didn't they?
Right.
And that was one of the big things that... Did you not go to school?
No. I mean, well, I was there physically. But yeah, my head was always in the clouds. No, I just, it's amazing that we're so behind when, you know, do we have the technology?
Well, I'll rephrase the question really, because, you know, the expenditure's there. It shows that other nations are spending a lot more on it than us. Should we be spending more on our renewable energy infrastructure? Because, you know, we hear the phrase a few times by David Cameron when he's not talking about the election, the referendum that's coming up, about energy security. America seem to have got their energy security now. They've found massive reserves of oil and they're fracking in places. We've just allowed the first licence for fracking in North Yorkshire. Is our energy security so important that we should invest in renewables, in solar, in wind, in wave?
Not fracking. Fracking's bad, isn't it?
But so's nuclear, so's gas. Nothing's great, is it?
Well,
by its very
surely
nature.
well, then how do we find a better solution?
I think somebody will have to invent just basically self-propelling power.
Right.
And on that, we'll move on, I think. Right, let's look at our next story. GPs claim patient numbers are leading to decision fatigue, meaning you might be better off seeing your doctor in the morning. Some GPs see 40 to 60 patients a day. The British Medical Association, the BMA, is calling for a cap on the number of patients a GP can see in any one particular day. Earlier this year, the Royal College of General Practitioners, that's the RCGP, this is really difficult for me, sent posters to every practice in the country urging GPs to take breaks to reduce the risk to patient safety. Now, is this a worry or an excuse? I only say this because we've been talking for months about the junior doctors' contracts, which has been about safety, when they work, how long they work and how much they get paid. This report today is showing of fatigue within our GPs, a decision fatigue. So by the afternoon, they may have seen 20, 30, 40 people, and they might not be in the right frame of mind. Is this what we want to be hearing about our first line of defence with doctors?
Well, no, but I mean, you can totally see it, can't you? With that amount of patients they have, and particularly if they've had a long lunch at the pub, you know, a ploughman's pint of ale. You feel a bit tired afterwards. but I mean, seriously, like, it's going to be a long day with that many patients. These people are only human. I don't know how we'd make it easier, because obviously there is a lot. It's a big responsibility in your hands. And yes, and it's this whole concept of decision fatigue is interesting, isn't it? Because they do have to make a lot of decisions.
They do, absolutely. And they are, you know, decisions of paramount importance.
Yes.
They have got to be right.
Yes.
They have a duty of care, and if that duty is impaired because they're so fatigued, that is a worry. And if it is so that you can only see them in the morning and get a reliable decision, you know, again, that raises concerns. I think.
Isn't it a worry as well that, rightly as you say, it's a very important decision that they have to make every time a patient walks through that door. But that decision is important to you, as an individual.
As an individual, yeah.
For their job, we go to an appointment at the doctor's. If people miss it, you hate them and you tut. But you're really only allowed 13 minutes with the doctor.
Yeah.
They try and get you out in half that time if you're good. We already know that a lot of appointments at doctors are wasted, in that we could get the same advice online, we could get the same advice from the NHS number by ringing them up, we could even get the same advice by going to pharmacies, and they could tell us what's really going on. It's just a bit worrying that they're seeing all these people, and maybe after lunch,
but
they might not be there.
They are seeing them because people are going to the doctor still, though, aren't they? You know, I mean, they're not going online, they're not going to the pharmacy, you know.
And that's why they get
and
this
they have to see them.
Isn't the worrying thing as well about this report, doesn't everybody get a bit tired in the afternoon?
Yes.
It's like, why, when at school, you would go and do games in the afternoon or double physics because you can sleep during double physics.
Right, yeah.
But everybody gets tired in the afternoon, surely.
Yeah. And it's that kind of, when it's the last hour of the day and you see the clock, a doctor's
clock watching,
thinking,
aren't you?
yeah. And if they've got, a couple of patients towards the end of the day and they've got a long drive home or whatever.
Yeah, it's just, when you're working at the bar, I'm not talking in a pub, I'm talking in a legal context, do you get the same thing? Is there decision fatigue being a barrister?
You do work at really long hours. You do work very long hours. I mean, you can be researching something throughout the night on a case. You can be researching something until 4 o'clock in the morning. You might get thrown late briefs. And you're literally kind of cribbing as if you're revising for an exam, and you do get very, very tired. And you can suddenly be standing up there thinking, trying to create your argument and getting decision fatigue, or argument fatigue. And it is hard, it's difficult. So I feel their pain, yeah.
In the morning, can you sometimes be like, I don't know, Rumpole of the Bailey or Judge Rinder? And then in the afternoon, you're so tired, you want a bit of a sit down like Ironside.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm exhausted.
Just sitting down.
Yeah. I mean, I'm exhausted now. I already said it earlier. Yeah. Oh, for goodness sake.
You've done a full day and then, legal, and then you come here.
And then you come and talk. And sometimes you do get to the point where you're thinking, oh, for goodness sake, I just want to go home and lie down. Yes.
Yeah. We won't let her do that.
But you can't do that, you see. You can't do that. But at the same time, our decisions usually take a longer period of time.
Yeah.
And
rather than those 30 minutes to just go.
Exactly, where you're suddenly deciding whether to make a referral because you think someone might be exhibiting signs of cancer, for instance, or they look like they've just got a sore throat.
And it's that thing as well, when we go to a doctor's, we think, you go in, your doctor tells you something, maybe signs a slip, sends you off with a prescription. They've then got to back up the paperwork, and it's a catch-22 decision. And I think we should all realise that the doctors do a massive, brilliant piece of work. Decision fatigue, though, let's not worry too much. Right, it's time for another break because we've got decision fatigue. Please go and make a trip to the smallest room in the house, or send that Facebook message that you've been waiting to for ages. And we'll see you in a couple of minutes with news on Trump and Simon Cowell. A match made in hell. More to come on the Daily Rundown in just a bit.